Who knew that 9 women from Utah would be my downfall? I am so here for the drama. I loved season 2 Secret Life of Mormon Wives, but my God, was it unrelenting. My therapist brain could not turn off. They packed in so many plot points, so many things to analyze, and in doing so, nearly destroyed my brain. So here's all the things from my therapist's perspective that really stuck out to me, things that I couldn't look away from or ignore. And yes, of course, I'm going to talk about Demi and Taylor. But before we dive in, I should probably introduce myself. Hi, my name's Erin. I'm a licensed therapist, and I love analyzing all things pop culture. And today, I always introduce what I'm drinking. Today, I am drinking a cold brew from a local coffee shop. So grab a drink, cheers, let's dive in. Let's start with Jen and Zach. It is no mystery to me why Jen and Zach suddenly have this new dynamic in season 2. They received the heaviest amount of backlash from last season. And we enter season 2, Jen is saying they've gone through a trial separation, and Zach is in the midst of quitting med school and trying to move back in with Jen and win her over. But the criticisms they address very directly, almost too directly. In my opinion, it feels really heavy-handed, and it makes it really hard to assess how much of this is genuine and authentic change versus just doing so for the camera. As a therapist, I can't help but question the authenticity of this. It seems very carefully constructed for the cameras. Hopefully, I think in order to reduce the backlash that they would receive and have received as a couple. But real change requires action, not just image repair. And that's why their relationship is so hard to evaluate, because we got this really raw and authentic glimpse into their dynamic at the Chippendales show. I think that was the most authentic response we have seen, unless they are both just genuinely great actors. By comparison, this season just seems so staged. Zach showing up at the door with flowers and saying he's quit med school in order to put Jen first. The fact that he's willing to try ketamine therapy, that he's so cool with the prank at the Halloween event. All of this points to this idea that really it's just all too convenient. That being said, I won't speculate much further because I really respect Jen and her ability to step back from this season based on prioritizing her own mental health and the health of her baby and the health of her family. There's really not much you can say other than good for her, and we should support her in that decision to do so. I just have a few criticisms for the authenticity that their relationship was showing, but all respect to her for taking care of herself. Let's talk about Taylor's barbecue, because there is so much to unpack there. First off, poor Taylor. Secondly, it is abundantly clear to me why she has so much internalized shame and self-hatred. Her family, aside from her sister, clearly and blatantly favor Dakota. And in a moment when Taylor's in a conversation defending herself against Dakota because Dakota has both lied to and cheated on her, her dad hits her with, "Well, what does that say about you?" A very classic victim blaming stance. And if you want your daughter to spiral into shame, that is a great way to do that. It's also a clear sign that he's letting Dakota off the hook entirely. I mean, it's so frustrating, but I do think that there is some reasoning behind his jump to victim blaming Taylor. And I think he does it because otherwise he would have to grapple with his own parenting and where Taylor's at currently. I think on some level deep down, he knows that he is a part of where Taylor's at currently, what she believes about herself, why she's made the choices she's made. And as any parent, how could you not question what did I do or where did I go wrong in raising my child that they're now in this very painful and very toxic relationship? And I work a lot with adolescents, and if there's one thing that's true across the board, it's that parent shame is alive and well. But in order for him to not victim blame Taylor and step into empathy and support, he'd have to reconcile that own shame inside of himself, which he's just unwilling or unable to do. And we're not done with this barbecue yet, because then her brother chimes in and says that, "Taylor, you're not giving 100% like Dakota is," then doubles down and says that Taylor, you need to give Dakota an inch so that he can run or walk a mile. I mean, come on. Do you not think that Taylor has given him a plethora of chances? And by no means do I think Taylor is perfect, but it was just another pile on. No grace, no compassion towards Taylor in this moment. And the only rational person to speak up is her sister, who says, I think it's best that Taylor and Dakota stay separated right now while they both work on their own healing. Thank God for her rationality. While we're on the subject of Taylor, we need to talk about her CMA response pettiness. She was asked to host an award for the CMAs, post about it on Instagram, and all of MomTok liked her post, but did not specifically comment on her post. Watch out, Taylor's world imploded, and she posted these really petty, throwing people in the shade posts on Instagram that then unleashed her fan base on the rest of MomTok. Understandably, Taylor's friends were very upset by this, but Taylor doubled down and stood her ground. From a therapist lens, this feels like pure projection. I think Taylor really struggles to believe that people genuinely love or care for her, or even that she's a good friend. And so she posted these things, I think, as a perceived slight. She really interpreted her friends' actions in a warped manner. And most of them didn't comment on it because they either liked it and forgot to comment or just didn't see it. And people who inaccurately interpret and personalize rather innocent interactions or events often do so as a defense mechanism. Taylor is really doing this just to preserve her self-image and her self-ego and to not feel any more shame than she already does. And it's hard, but I think that there were a number of reasons and a number of events that probably led Taylor to feeling this way and feeling sensitive about this. Only Taylor would be able to truly say what was the triggering event for her to respond in this way. I still love Taylor. She's probably my favorite character person on the show. She, in my opinion, is the most authentic. She really is the one that lays it all out there. She has nothing to lose. And she's very authentic. I think she often does know and understands why she reacts or responds in certain ways. I do think she struggles to take some accountability in that sometimes. But what you're going to get from her is authentic, raw, and real. And for that, I love her. Oh, Demi. Where do we even begin? I loved her season 1. She was a fan favorite in my world. And my opinions have now changed. Let's just start with Demi coming for Taylor's mom at the Christmas party, where she also conveniently tried to stage a coup in order to get Taylor kicked out of MomTok. And this really irked me because I was just like, Demi, you're not being sneaky. Everybody knows you don't like Taylor. Everybody knows you want to be the leader of MomTok. So say it with your chest. Don't hide beneath this facade of a democratic process. I would respect you more if you were just bluntly honest of I don't want Taylor in, I want her out, and I want to be in charge. I would respect that far more. More importantly, Demi's interaction with Taylor's mom was not actually projection, but was displacement. And those often get confused in the psych world, but displacement is taking your own feelings towards a different thing or a different situation and putting them on another thing. So the common example is your boss yells at you, so you get home and you kick your dog. Your dog didn't do anything, but you're displacing your anger towards your boss on your dog. And that's exactly what Demi is doing here. She is displacing all of her feelings, all of her upset interactions with Taylor on Taylor's mom instead. And Taylor's mom by no means deserved this. I think this is also hard to watch because you can see Taylor's mom, while she probably did this in part because the producers asked her to, she also is feeling incredibly defensive of her daughter, and she has to sit face to face with somebody while they drag her daughter's name through the mud. And Demi is really aggressive in this. She's poised and strong, so she gives off this facade that she can't be touched. And this is a really prime example of weaponized emotional intelligence, which is your ability to understand a person and a situation, to speak fluently and be able to use those things to your advantage so that you kind of manipulate the situation, which the girls said earlier in the season that Demi tends to do. And I think if you rewatch this interaction with her mom, it's pretty clear that's what's going on here as well. What really crossed the line, though, in my opinion, was Demi bringing Taylor's children into this. Say you will what you will about their conversation, their argument. I think this was inappropriate to do so. Parental shame, like I said, it's just alive and well, and even the best parents question if they're failing their children. So for Demi to go there, knowing that Taylor carries a lot of this shame already, was honestly just cruel, in my opinion. And it wasn't so that she would take accountability, which is how Demi presented it, was trying to get Taylor to take accountability. It wasn't about that. It was trying to hit Taylor where it hurts, because Taylor had on this facade that Demi can't touch her. Demi's frustrations really stem from the fact that Taylor doesn't react to her antics. And Demi's frustration is increasing too, because the girls around her are not participating on one side or the other. And I think Demi is getting increasingly frustrated. So she's going to poke the most vulnerable spot where she knows it's going to hurt. And that's unfair and, quite frankly, just so mean to Taylor. What's really heartbreaking, though, is I think that a lot of Demi's response this season is due to her unprocessed grief around her fertility issues. And this is just a theory, but I think she's grappling with that loss of control. To have to question if you have the ability to have children, that's an identity-shaking experience. And so, of course, in the midst of that, Demi is going to reach for control in the one way she knows how: MomTok. Her shift to this leadership role, to the desire to be the go-to person, to really trying to take over MomTok, all of it is this reclaim of power and control. Demi is stretching herself to say, if I can't have this one thing, well, at least I could have fame or money or recognizability. Things along those lines that is really just a self-defense mechanism, even if it's hurting other people along the way. And Demi is really probably does have some valid frustrations towards Taylor, I will say. However, I think a lot of her response for everyone this season, including her stage coup and all the things she was trying to do, it's just a response to the deeper wound here. And don't even get me started on the pregnancy roulette game. I know, or I'm almost sure, that was a producer ploy, but it was so cruel. I mean, we watched Demi unravel in real time, clearly distraught by this so-called game. And it robbed Macy and Michaela of their moment of joy. It is not every day that you get to tell your friends that you are pregnant. And it put them in an incredibly awkward and incredibly tense position. And they handled it with such poise and grace, I will say. But this just did not sit well with me. It turned their announcement into a gimmick, and it was emotionally exploitative. And you know I have to talk about Whitney, our season 1 villain. Even though season 2, there's really not a lot to say about her, other than she is bandwagoning hard. It is incredibly frustrating to watch her ride Demi's coattails to try and enter her way back into MomTok. I think it shows and displays that she really does not carry a true sense of loyalty coming back into MomTok, especially because she saw that Demi had a vendetta against Taylor and was trying to validate Demi along the way, knowing that in doing so, it would allow her to enter right back into MomTok. But let's be real, this whole thing, it feels like a game because it is a game, and gossip is one of the most primal instincts that women have. It's been theorized that gossip was actually used in ancient tribal culture because it allowed people to be pushed in or unify and create cohesion among a group. And that's exactly what Whitney's doing. She's playing by these old ancient rules in order to make her way back into the group and create safety for herself. So yeah, season 2 was a lot. I laughed, I gasped, I psychoanalyzed people who didn't ask to be psychoanalyzed, and I had a lot of fun doing it. What fascinates me most about this show is the fact that while heightened and edited within an inch of its life, it still displays real psychological patterns like displacement and vulnerability and projection, all there wrapped up in matching pajamas and passive-aggressive Instagram posts. But while these women are influencers, they're also portraying something deeply human. And There's this relatability to it. You can watch the pain in it, the humor in it, all of it speaking to this bigger idea that there is actually more here than just reality TV. And while I had thoughts, so many thoughts on this season, the one thing I wanted to mention is that none of these women are actually villains. They're all women navigating complicated relationships, putting their life on display for public scrutiny, and trying to fight their inner battles. So let's hold a little bit of space and a little bit of grace for them. There are so many other interactions and people that I didn't even touch on. So if you enjoyed this and you want a part 2 to this video, leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, you would probably love my channel. And I truly do appreciate any support, whether it's a like, a comment, a subscribe, whatever it is. I'm super grateful and I can't wait for my next deep dive. So go ahead, give my channel a look, and I will see you all soon.
Ooh, that's so annoying. I thought we were gonna